What's been going on with me? A lot. It's been a lot.
Okay, good, good. Wow.
All right. What's been going on with me? A lot. A lot has been happening. I've been definitely way more visible as far as I've done a lot of podcasts and stuff like this, and
Okay.
but I have done a lot of live events
Wow.
as well. So it's been a lot of that. So different conferences, expos,
Mhm.
um, you know, I wrote a book, I spent,
Okay.
yeah, so it's been a lot.
Mm-mm. Hey, everybody, this is Lisa Brown from Side Hustle Saturday, and this is Hustle Talks. Now, today is a little bit of a different interview. I started Hustle Talks back in 2020, and this episode is Where Are They Now? And I'm interviewing some of my first guests that I had on my podcast. My guest today is Tamika Franklyn. She is the owner of Precision Franchise. And I had her on my show of August of 2021. Can you believe that, Tamika?
Wow. Wow.
August
Yeah.
of 2021. And that show talked about you want to be an entrepreneur, right? And you may not have the right, I don't know, tools, mindset, skill set, what have you. And so we talked about an option would be franchising. You still are your own boss, you have your own business. And franchising is a more tailored way for you to be an entrepreneur by owning a franchise. And what Tamika does, a precision franchise, is that she helps people get franchises. And now we're not talking about the Chick-fil-A's or McDonald's or anything like that. We're talking about franchises that you would never even think of. So I'm gonna put a link to her old interview in this podcast, but I want this interview is to catch up to see where she's been, what's going on with her business, how she's involved. Tamika, welcome to Side Hustle Saturday Hustle Talks. How are you doing? And welcome to the show.
Thank you. And thank you so much for inviting me back. I love the whole concept of coming back just to see like where have things had evolved from
Mm,
then.
absolutely. I love to hear how the entrepreneurial journey. I've got my story. Everybody's got their story. There are some people that I've caught up with that don't even have, their business has pivoted. And I think it's important for people to hear those journeys as well as the new ones as well.
Yeah.
So you joined Side Hustle Saturday, like I said before. Our interview was in August of 2021.
Hmm.
How has your journey with Precision Franchise evolved since then?
Wow. Um, I would say tremendously because definitely ended up doing things that wasn't necessarily in the plans, which
Yeah.
which is a part of entrepreneurship, period, right?
Right.
So since then, I would say, well, one major thing would be that this has been 100% my focus now. So
Oh,
it's no
okay.
longer, yeah, so it's no longer me doing this on the side of me being in the corporate position.
Hmm.
This is 100%
Hmm.
entrepreneur. So that's one of probably one of the biggest things that has happened.
Hmm.
Um, I've also done a lot more. I also did a lot more in the speaking realm of things as far as being
Okay.
on platforms.
Hmm.
I've taken that from virtually doing it to more in-person events. So I have done workshops. I have done just being on panels, presentations for various organizations and expos and conferences.
Hmm.
I have also added an additional business of with virtual assistants. I
Oh, wow.
heavily utilize virtual assistants, which has also been a part of my growth and expansion, and just in some of the things that you are seeing. that's going
Mhm.
on with me today. And also I wrote a book.
Oh,
uh,
wow.
yes, and it's called Your Franchise Roadmap, and take you
Okay.
from discovery to decision.
Okay, so you've been busy.
Yes.
You've been busy. So I think when you're an entrepreneur, there are many times where you have to pivot.
hmm
Um, how have you pivoted since 2021 to now?
Um, well, besides the fact of being 100% all in,
Mhm.
I think the pivoting comes from when you really take an honest look at how things are now and where you want it to be,
Mhm.
and being open to the fact that it may not look like how you thought it was going to look.
Right.
And sometimes, honestly, it'll be some of the things that didn't go so well that kind of
Mhm.
makes put a different strategy
Right.
um, in place. So I guess one of the examples I could give is maybe I can talk about the virtual assistance piece
Yeah, talk
because
to us about
yeah,
that.
I utilize virtual assistants definitely as part of my growth and strategy
Mhm.
um, to to grow my business. I have different roles for them. And automations and things like that is extremely important, and they help streamline that. But what
Mhm.
I've also done was I had the business that I had, which is called Hub Source Solutions. I there was another idea for that. There was another idea for that. It wasn't necessarily the virtual assistant part, but that idea didn't plan out as well as I thought it would.
Mhm.
And I just then said, you know what? It just makes more sense to focus on offering virtual assistant services, since I had that experience with utilizing
Oh,
them
okay.
myself.
Mhm.
So I pivoted that part, to that. And that
Mhm.
comes with, again, sometimes it's just trial and error, just kind of
Mhm.
seeing what works, and then seeing like where maybe you need to shift your focus. So that's one example of that.
Mhm. So, with Precision Franchise, how has that, I know you were with your business, you help people get franchises.
Correct.
How has that grown? Because it was an education for me because I would have never thought I could get a franchise. I don't have one, but if I wanted one, you would be the person that I would reach out to and you would help me with that. How talk a little bit about that again and how
Mhm.
has that grown and how many people have you helped? Tell us about what's going on with that.
So the impact has been great because even though like I can speak about several people that had moved forward in owning their own business, I feel as though the greater impact is on how many more people now understands that they can have a space in here as well.
Mhm.
And the fact that I went from just doing webinars because I've done particular webinars every year.
Mhm.
I have now expanded that to what I failed to mention. I actually have a YouTube channel, which is called Franchise Vibes. So I
Mhm.
expanded that level of education to go on YouTube and kind of bringing more of a one-on-one with particular topics that's going to apply to or resonate with people who either own franchises, looking to own franchises,
Mhm.
or just getting into business and overall entrepreneurship period just because of the topics that we're talking about.
Mhm.
And I feel as though because of some of those the steps that I've taken, it has now not only exposed me, but I've been able to, because of that, I've been able to get in other spaces that are so important, that's expanding that impact because now I've done a couple of programs where it was with schools
Yeah.
and high school students, and
Mhm.
which I think is important because
That's
the
great.
earlier we know about business and business options and things of that nature, the better.
Right.
So I feel as though the impact is so much greater because of all these different platforms. I had interns that I've worked with,
Mhm.
um, and like I said, I've done programs for high school students, teaching them and just going through those different types of topics, within owning a business and proven business models and things of that nature. And I'm
Mhm.
being called back to do those things as well. I'm also being called to be involved in more platforms that are uh, within the franchise industry that you don't really see highlighted as much.
Right.
So for example, just being a part of the franchise expo,
Mhm.
I did several 2024. Last year I did several of them, and
Mhm.
I was on a panel that was built. I'm trying to remember the name. Um, Minorities building wealth in franchising, which again hit the impact is, you can't even count that because there's so much people that, were in the room, that
Yeah.
then will share that information, and again,
Right.
kids so it's just like a spider web effect. And I just feel like that's what I think about when I hear
Mhm.
that.
Now, when I first reached out to you back in August, it was through an article that blackpr.com had. And I reached out, I was like, "Oh, this is interesting." So, and to me, like when people do like PR and you send emails a lot,
Hmm.
that's, a part of generating leads, people to reach out to you. And lead generation for entrepreneurs, that's like a do or die. That's how you get the funnel of people to ask you about your business. What kind of lead generation techniques have you done from 2021 to now to get you more
Hmm.
visibility, to help grow your business? What kind of things do you do?
So I've put in place several things since then.
Mhm.
So virtual assistants was a major thing because I did and over the last like 2 years I did put somebody in place that is going to that's her specific goal. It's not just about posting online or anything like that. It's like, no, you're going to utilize whether it's Sales Navigator or whatever the case is, where you're
Mhm.
actually reaching out to target audience
Mhm.
to get appointments. So I have someone that specifically, um, her job is to generate appointments, people that should be sitting with me to have a consultation.
Mhm.
Um, I've also with some of, I'm sorry, sorry about that.
That's okay.
Also, with some of the added visibility as far as me being a part of particular conferences and expos, I do make it a point that if I'm going to be a part of that, um, I should be able to connect with the people who have registered or joined. I've
Right.
also done the Small Business Expo as well, just kind of stepping out of a franchise focus and bringing that to an expo such as that. So,
Mhm.
because again, you're reaching people who have entrepreneurship on their mind and
Right.
may already be entrepreneurs that may want to understand, well, what is this about?
Mhm.
But as I said, when I do particular things, I do get the people who have registered, which I then
Mhm.
they are now part of my CRM, and I utilize my CRM way better and way I was like to I guess to the full capacity that it
Right.
has. Like I wasn't using it to the best capacity earlier on.
Uh-huh.
And I think that now, especially with me adding my assistance, is I have it more streamlined.
So
So
mhm.
so
Go
you
ahead.
have like drip campaigns, you have
Mhm.
newsletters, which I do have a newsletter that goes out every month.
Mhm.
I have blogs. So if you're going to implement things like blogs, newsletters, um, you want to make sure that you are consistent. Like you can't just create a newsletter and do it for like 2, 3 months and then stop. Or,
Right.
you can't just, create like one, send out one email or so no. So it's like we have a steady plan as far as how often we want to do it. So if it's
Mhm.
newsletter, doing it once a month. The blogs, there's probably, and I'm forgetting now, I believe they do a blog a week or something like that that's on my website on
Mhm.
different topics. I think also what's important is creating and having a CRM system where automations is there and you
Yeah.
utilize automations. That's something I definitely wasn't doing before.
Yeah.
So for example, if someone opens my email and they clicked on a particular blog or they clicked on my YouTube channel or whatever it is that they clicked on, have something else that's going to follow that. So if they clicked on this specific thing, that's like, okay, there's some interest there. So now you may get follow-up emails based off of what it is that you clicked on, and then
Right.
giving you a call to action. If you want to learn more, you may want to talk to Tamika. So
Mhm.
just really like honing in on some of those strategies.
This segment of Hustle Talks is brought to you by Studio 951. Need a game changing marketing strategy? At Studio 951, we help businesses stand out with expert branding, social media management, content creation, web design, and video editing. From crafting eye catching visuals to driving engagement, we bring your brand to life online and beyond. Ready to grow? Let's build something amazing together. Visit studio-951.com today.
I
Now,
think it's, you know,
do you
mhm.
use chat bots too? I know a lot of people, there's a lot of talk about chat bots.
I believe in my other business there is a chat box.
Uh-huh.
Again, like so I mean I think that's key. It's like there I have sometimes I have a lot of things that's going on that I'm not the person doing the thing. Like that's how
Mhm.
important it is automations and stuff is. So the other business, yes, I do remember a chat box. For Precision Franchise, I do not have a chat box.
Mhm.
But I do have people that are ready to be there to answer a lot of times. Sometimes when you see um, some of the messages that may be on Instagram, it
Yeah.
may be first my assistant and then I jump in. So those are the types of things that I have in place.
So, when we talked in 2021, there was no AI. There was no AI. How
At least we weren't as familiar. AI was there, but it wasn't like
yeah.
as present as it is.
It wasn't out to the masses. And you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. How have you incorporated AI into your business?
Tremendously. Like that's like I joke and say, "Oh, that's my buddy. That's my, that's my friend.
That's my assistant.
That's my assistant. That's my other assistant." So, tremendously because it does help with fast tracking particular things. It helps you also with maybe even just clarifying your thoughts
Yeah.
on like what's your next step and what would be
Mhm.
good. You know what I mean? So I utilize that a lot.
Mhm.
I know, like especially with my virtual assistants, they do rely heavily on that as well for that type of assistance, as far as
Mhm.
especially when it comes to um, keeping a particular type of content in a particular order.
Yeah.
So that's something that they're gonna use a lot.
Mhm.
So yeah, there's many uses, and it's been phenomenal.
So you say you have a business of virtual assistants.
Hmm.
How did you go about? Because I had a virtual assistant, it didn't work out.
Hmm.
How do you how did you go about getting a virtual assistant? I know sometimes it's really hard because you need to find that right fit. You got to be able to trust that person to do the
Hmm.
job, and you need to take some stuff off your plate because as an entrepreneur, you just can't balance everything. How
Hmm.
did you go about finding those virtual assistants, and then what tasks do you give them? Were there any bumps in the road or any mistakes that you made as you were trying to get a virtual assistant?
So it was a couple of different things that I did. First, there was another company where I dealt with when I was trying to go in another direction, and they had a virtual assistant that came about, but then I kind of just took that and expanded on it on my own.
Mhm.
And what I did was I took all the bumps and bruises basically for everyone else. I guess that's how I see it, because
Oh,
like you, I've tried virtual assistants before, and it didn't work out
yeah.
for one reason or the other. Either it's it felt as though it wasn't like they were only focused on maybe just posting, and I knew that that's not what I wanted. And then by the time I get through with everything that I do want it, the
Mhm.
cost is going to be pretty high because, and then I started realizing, well, the things that I want is probably the problem is it's not going to be for one person, it's probably for a team,
Mhm.
and kind of like realize that that was the problem. So I took that knowledge, and of course, with my experience, I have a very varied and long history in the sales industry, so
Mhm.
I took all of that and pretty much trained the good one and two that I had at the time. And
Mhm.
then from that, once I got them to where I'm like, okay, I can leverage this and expand this to others, that's when I started building upon that. And then I kind of trained them to also pretty much onboard any others that I happen to bring on.
Mhm.
So that's like the best way that I could say it is like I just, I took all of the things that I wish I kind of had when it came to virtual assistants and made sure to instill that in them.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, so the business is set up to where you're not stuck with just like one person. You have
Yeah.
it's more or less task focused or hours. Like it's a package. Like you just whatever it is you need in those hours, that's what you're able to get. So that's how I set it up.
Okay.
Hmm.
So, since your last appearance,
Hmm.
how do you feel like you've grown as an entrepreneur?
Um, wow, have I grown as an entrepreneur? I think that me realizing that sometimes when things doesn't really work out,
Mhm.
um, I don't want to say it did, but it put you in another path that ended up being profitable,
Yeah.
or it just made things like, oh, well, because of that bad situation, I now implement these things, and things
Yeah.
have to go this way now. And it kind of spun into like other ideas. So I think I've grown because I realized that more, and I try to look at the opportunities and the things that kind of go left. I
Mhm.
think that that's probably the best way I can answer that.
This segment of Hustle Talks is brought to you by Studio 951. Need a game changing marketing strategy? At Studio 951, we help businesses stand out with expert branding, social media management, content creation, web design, and video editing. From crafting eye catching visuals to driving engagement, we bring your brand to life online and beyond. Ready to grow? Let's build something amazing together. Visit studio-951.com today.
See, I always say like the model or the makeup of a successful person or success is when you take those chances and then you might bump your head and you might fold or it might be a total flop. But you're
Hmm.
able to either learn from that and then you get yourself back up and you keep on going. A lot of people be like, oh, it didn't work. And then they just throw in the towel. But I
Hmm.
think that's just the model of success. You got to try till you get it right.
Yeah. And like I said, and sometimes again, because that happened, you put in a different, maybe you added a process or a step, you
Yeah.
know, because of that situation.
Mhm.
And now looking back, you're like, wow, this step is a really good step. You know what I mean? Like I
Right.
wouldn't run it any other way.
I had to bump my
Um,
head to figure that out. Right.
yeah.
So, for our people that are going to be watching this podcast and they're interested in franchising,
Hmm.
what advice would you give them in getting started?
Okay, so well, besides making sure that they are contacting me at
Different
Precision
details will
Franchise.
be in the description. So,
Yes.
yes, contact Tamika.
But no, seriously speaking, I think the first thing you need to think about is yourself. Like I think that's a lot of mistakes that people make when it comes to that industry is that
Mhm.
they're brand focused.
Right.
They're looking at the things that they know or they've seen. They're putting a random search, and
Mhm.
then they're trying to go that route and not realizing whether it's a good fit or not, and then they're going down this rabbit hole and then they're not being answered. I think the
Right.
best thing for you to do is to first think about what are the things that you actually like doing, not just what are the things that you're good at. I think that a lot of people don't realize that there is a difference. There's a distinct difference there. So what are the things that you're the things that you feel like you're good at, but what are the things that you actually like doing? You know what I mean? That you can wake up
Right.
like, I can't wait to do this.
Mhm.
What are your soft skills and your hard skills as well? What are the things that um, what are the things that's in your experiences, whether it's in school, whether it's in your corporate job, the things that you can bring to the table,
Mhm.
that make this business better, or it's going to make you be able to own and run this business successfully. So
Mhm.
think about that first, and then think about what industry those skills are going to fit best in.
Right.
Uh, and be open about that.
Right.
Because where I come in is that that could kind of get fuzzy, because you might think like, okay, I've been a nurse, for 15 years, so I guess I'll open a nursing home. I'll be going to nursing. Well, not necessarily.
Right.
It can't be something in home services. It can't be real estate.
Mhm.
Because of some of the empathy and the things that you have, or have experienced, or the trials and tribulations that you experience in that role, translate very well in an entirely different industry that you haven't even thought of. So
Mhm.
I would say, definitely be open to those type of possibilities, but really think about those skills, and think about the industries that you feel like they have a good fit.
And
I would
talk to
also say,
somebody.
I'm sorry.
And talk to somebody. Talk to somebody that's got a franchise, I would
Yes,
say.
yes, yes. Because you know what? And that's part of the process as well. A lot of
Right.
people don't realize that, and they kind of gloss over that as well. But that's a very important stage when you are looking into into owning a franchise, is what is called the validation stage. And that is where you're going to be speaking to other owners.
Mhm.
So yes, get into those type of networks. There's a lot of free programs out here on entrepreneurships. Um,
Mhm.
there's a lot of ways to connect with other owners, as you said, as well, just to get a feel of things, and just to have them in your network, because you never know if things that they might put out, that's going to be helpful for you, as well. And
Mhm.
if I can add, the book that I created,
Okay,
because
plug the book. Let's plug the book. What's the book called and where can they get it?
so you can get it on Amazon, and it is available in hardback, paper, and digitally as well.
Okay.
And it's called Your Franchise Roadmap.
Mhm.
From decision, I'm sorry, Your Franchise Roadmap from Discovery to Decision. And the
Mhm.
reason why I think this is key is because if you're not going to utilize someone like me, uh, this book, first of all, there's not another book out there like that. I'm not just saying that because I wrote it. Did
Right.
my did my research,
Right.
and then I did see that that was the only gap, as far as a book that is designed to be practical, but to take
Mhm.
you in that process when you are doing those evaluations. It's going to provide you with the type of information and resources that you need. It's
Mhm.
giving you affirmations as well, which is part of it. And also, where it's like it's a workbook where you're able to actually do the pros and cons, and comparing between the different franchises that you may be looking for, but it's
Mhm.
taking you from those beginning steps all the way through the end stage, which is sometimes called discovery day, before you
Mhm.
make that decision. So
Okay.
it's taking you from that between, and giving you something that you can use. So you can get this book to read first and see what's going on, or you can get this book when you're actually in the process as well.
Right.
I would still always say, as you said, you should speak to someone. Um, I mean, my services are free. It doesn't cost you to work with me. So
Free.
why not have somebody to guide you through that? But
100%.
yeah,
Right.
but yes, it does have all of that important information and resources that you don't just guess. You don't know what you don't know, right? But this book is
Right.
going to give you that type of information for sure.
Awesome. So, okay, if you could summarize your journey from 2021 with a one word phrase, what would it
Mm.
be?
I would have to go with I would have to go with my word of the year, actually,
Okay.
um, which is elevate.
Oh, I
And
like that.
yes, I think it fits, because I chose that word this year because of all the seeds and everything that I have done and planted last year. I feel as though, and I do believe and I can see it, that I'm going to see such, I'm going to experience such an elevated experience as far as growth, everything, well, in all
Mhm.
aspects of the business. And I feel like I see that. And so just thinking about from the last time we spoke to then, I mean, it's almost reflective actually, because it's like, wow, when you think about it, you have though,
Right.
you have. And just because in 2021, I would have never thought that I would be an author. Like I never had an interest in that.
Yeah.
Um, I never, I would have thought that I knew that I was interested in making sure to expand my business, but in the way that it has expanded and grown and to add another business that's related, those are the things that I didn't necessarily have that planned out, but this is what it had evolved to based off
Mhm.
the things that I started doing. And even what I'm also implementing now, because I am going through a certification for a business for being a coach.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, so and I really like that because I feel like not only is that going to elevate the experience and what I can do within my consultations or within the franchise industry, I feel like overall that is also another arm. That's also um, another business that's yet to come. As far as
Mhm.
I don't know where that is going to take me. Just like in 2021, I didn't know where this is going to take me. So I'm excited about that as well,
Mhm.
and what is in store.
Yeah.
So I would say elevate is definitely the word.
I love that. I love that. Do you think you would ever go back and work for somebody, or do you think this is it? You're gonna be an
Mm.
entrepreneur?
So what I think is, and I have my moments where I'm like, wow, I get to do this. I
Right.
get to, you know, I get to wake up when I need to or when I want to. I get to,
Mhm.
even just on a personal level as well, personal, whether it's business or personal, as far as like, okay, now I need to buckle down. Now I'm going to, my goals is to make calls and stuff like that. Like sometimes I just have those moments where it's like, you know what, this has to work because
Yeah.
I like this.
It's do or die.
I like this.
We
I
will
like
make it
this.
work.
Yes, I say that to say, like, again, I don't want to. I don't want to have to do that. It's
Mhm.
one thing if I felt as though for whatever reason, maybe it made sense, maybe even with the coaching that I'm doing, that hey, I got a offer that I couldn't turn down, and but I still, there was some way to kind of implement what I'm doing now, because that's
Mhm.
honestly everything that I do. I want this world has to be involved.
Right.
So let's say, I don't know, got an offer I couldn't refuse. It's still something where it's like it's my choice to do it, and not, I don't want to ever be in a position where it's like, well, I have to do it. You know,
Gotcha. Yeah.
it
Mhm.
has to absolutely make sense. So that's my
Mhm.
thoughts.
Mhm. I think about that too. It's like when I would I go back and work for somebody, and it have to be it have to be a dream job. Like this is, but I still want to keep my other business afloat. But it would have to, like you said, it has to make sense.
Right,
It has to,
right,
and the dollars got to be there too.
right. Exactly, exactly. Because I mean, to be honest, one of the goals that I set is like I want to be in a position where going back to corporate is almost like cutting my salary.
Right.
I want to have that reality. Like, yeah, it's not even going to make sense
No,
for me to
and
do.
right, and if it and I look at it this way, I'm not going back as an associate, as a
Right.
specialist. Now we're talking about higher, bigger roles. It's a
Hmm.
director, it's a VP, it's a CEO, because I know the ins and out of a business now. So none of that foolishness. So, thank you so much, Tamika, for being on the show. I really appreciate it. I love to hear your journey from where you were from back from 2021 to now. And I'm so happy that you are thriving and the business is growing. I want to know, how can listeners, somebody that sees this podcast and they're like, hey, I want to learn more about entrepreneurship. How can people get in contact with you?
Well, you can definitely, if you want to email me directly, my email is Tamika, Tamika at precisionfranchise.com.
Mhm.
I'm on all social media as Precision Franchise.
Mhm.
And the website is precisionfranchise.com as well. And of course, my YouTube channel, which is Franchise Vibes. You're gonna get a lot of contact, and a lot of content, a lot of information.
Mhm.
The only thing that I would add is when you do go on my website, you have the ability also to schedule an appointment
Mhm.
with me directly there,
Mhm.
and just make sure that you sign up as far as being able to get invited to the webinars that I still have today.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much, Tamika, for again taking the time on a Sunday to talk to me. Everybody, this is Lisa Brown. This is Hustle Talks, Side Hustle Saturday. Follow your girl. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm on TikTok. I'll put all that detail in the description and in the caption. But everybody, have a great day. And this is Hustle Talks. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.